Hi, I'm Kara. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to talk about what is the best medication for multiple sclerosis. Um, Please forgive me, I'm not a medical doctor. I was going to say I have no medical background, but I went to nursing school, but I didn't become a nurse. So I have a small background, but it's not really valid. It's really just my experience. My experience with a few different MS medications, and then my experience without MS medications. For me, that's the best path. But everyone's different. And so I would just like to share about my experiences with different MS meds, and maybe it can help somebody. So the first medication that I tried was Avonex. And I will say I was terrified. I was really terrified about the multiple sclerosis, maybe more than anything. And I was just terrified about, everything that meant for my future. And I knew I didn't have MS due to a lack of Avonex, but I was scared, and so I decided to move forward with that prescription. And one thing I liked about Avonex was that it was only once a week, but I had to choose that day of the week to inject myself. Oh, not this. Inject myself. I had to choose the day skillfully because I couldn't work for a couple days after the shot because it rendered me useless. It made me sick as hell. Sick as H-E double hockey sticks. And if the MS wasn't bad enough, well, the Avonex made it worse. Absolutely made everything worse. So my experience with Avonex was that it made everything worse, and it was extremely traumatizing. I'm just gonna be very blunt. It was really traumatizing. The very first thing, so a nurse came over. I was house sitting for my sister. She was on her honeymoon, and I was taking care of her condo and her dog with her new husband, whatever. So I was just there alone, and this nurse came over to teach me how to stab myself with poison. And she had an orange. Pretend like this is an orange. I don't have any. I don't have any oranges. So I had to first practice stabbing the orange, and then just to see how it felt, see how that's gonna feel. I'm not gonna stab this apple right now because I want to eat it, and this is not sterile. But I can just tell you that injecting an apple or an orange with water has nothing to do with what that's gonna actually feel like when you're stabbing yourself in your body with this needle and the attendant poison. So don't be fooled. Don't be fooled. It's not helpful. The whole process sucks. And I'm really sorry if you have to do it. I really feel bad because I'm remembering how bad it really feels, and no one should have to do that to themselves. I just it's a horrible thing. It's a horrible thing, but I did it for I don't know, a year, maybe a year and a half, I guess. So I was diagnosed in 2016, and that's when I started the Avonex. Yeah, then fast forward like a year, year and a half, and I just kept getting worse on the Avonex. Like, not only it wasn't really traumatic for my whole life, like I didn't have any days off of work because I was sick with this. Not with MS, but I was sick with the MS meds. And who knows, like maybe just that emotionally was making me get more ill physically. Um, but I kept getting worse on the weekly, once a week Avonex. I agreed to switch to Rebif. My neurologist was like, well, I think we just need more poison, more often, right? And the thing about Rebif, I'll just take this needle off. Like, the Rebif needle was probably, it was quite a bit smaller. I don't know, maybe a centimeter instead of like this whole thing. The needle was a lot smaller. It wasn't I didn't have to stab it all the way into a muscle. That was maybe the most uncomfortable. Oh, the whole thing was uncomfortable. But putting this straight down into your thigh muscle, like, I'm gonna cry right now. It's horrible. It's horrible. And it burns, and then you're sick for days after, and it's horrible. It's horrible. So that's review on Avonex. And then Rebif. Okay, so yes, the needle is much smaller, but it's 3 times a week instead of once a week. And it's just like more of the interferons, which Avonex also has interferons. Rebif uses interferons, but I don't know. It's like that's more in a dose, and it's more often. But it's just subcutaneous. It just goes under the skin. So I think it doesn't like come into your body as readily as the Avonex, because the Avonex goes straight into your muscle. And I think just the bioavailability is greater when it goes into your muscle. So with Rebif, it was 3 times a week, and it didn't hurt as bad. Like, it simply wasn't as traumatizing as the Avonex injections. And so I could actually, like, do it at work, do these injections at work. And I had to, because it's 3 times a week. And I was working as a veterinary assistant, and I was often like injecting, pull up the scruff of a kitty, and I would give the kitty vaccines or whatever. And I was trying to be light about it. I was like, oh, so just give the kitty the vaccine, a little shot, and then I'll just give myself a little shot too, I would like sneak off in the bathroom and give myself a little shot. 3 times a week I did that. And yeah, again, it didn't really make me sick feeling, but I felt like a sick person, because like, why else would you sneak off in the bathroom and go stab yourself with poison unless there's something really wrong with you? But really at that point, it was like, I wasn't always having MS symptoms. I just was trying to be diligent about the meds because I was scared about my future. So, when the Rebif finally just like was done in my life, meaning I got pretty bad to a point where I couldn't walk again. It's, relapsing remitting MS, and I would have symptoms go away and then come back. And yeah, with this, during the Rebif, like, I just kept getting worse. Also, Avonex kept getting worse. Rebif also, I just kept getting worse. And, I wonder if it wasn't also like psychosomatic. Like, I felt so bad. Even just doing these injections felt so bad that I kind of think that was like adding to my stress, which was adding to the weakening of my immune system, and whatever. It just, I kept getting worse on all these MS, okay, 2 at that point. So I decided to stop. Okay, I was mad because I thought they weren't working, and I still don't think that they worked. I don't think they did what they're intended to do. I mean, nobody really knows if they ever really do what they're intended to do, but they, they definitely earn the doctor's money, and they definitely earn big pharma, big money for big pharma with this poison. Big money for big pharma, and it's a big problem, in my humble opinion. In any case, I kept getting worse on this stuff, and so I stopped them all, and my doctor decided to put me on Tysabri, which is an infusion once a month. So it's kind of like chemotherapy, meaning you just go once a month to the hospital, or I don't know how often people do chemo. Everything is just like horrible. I feel so horrible for anybody who has to do any of this, but I'm sure that everyone has their way of handling things. I sure did. But in that meantime, between stopping Rebif and when I was supposed to start Tysabri, I was so mad at everything, at my body, that I needed to do something totally different. And so I went to Africa. I had a friend who was in Peace Corps in Africa. And I just felt so bad about myself at the time. And I wanted to feel powerful, Just wanted to feel just like myself, really, at the time. So rewind, I guess I was about 30. I was about 30 at the time. And I went to Africa, and I couldn't walk when I bought the flight. I couldn't even walk. I was home from work because I couldn't get myself to work. I couldn't drive a car because I couldn't feel my feet. And I couldn't work. So I was, veterinary assistant. Couldn't work. And so I bought a flight to Africa. While I was in Africa, I started reading Bernie Siegel, a book called Love, Medicine, and Miracles. And this man, Bernie Siegel, he's an oncologist who has had some real interesting, beautiful success stories with a number of his cancer patients. Just working with mind, body sort of medicine. And one thing he noticed, this is through reading his book, he noticed that the patients who tended to do better in the long term, with their condition, the ones who did better were the ones who were bad patients. They were bad patients, meaning they were like, wait, doctor, you don't really get to tell me what to do. What's really, not so much that, but that's, that was the kind of bad patient that I was after a point. I was like, yeah, you know what? This is my body. I know that you're not going to get a cut if I choose the natural path, but this is my body, and I feel powerful enough to make some changes there. So I started to eventually feel that way after reading Bernie Siegel, wandering around Mozambique, Malawi, Zambia. These 3 countries in Africa that I touched upon, and oh my god, I have so many things to share about that trip, but right now, as it relates to MS and the medications, I was supposed to start Tysabri when I got back from Africa. It was like the next day I was supposed to go to the hospital for my Tysabri infusion. But as I was just in Africa, just like living, traveling, meeting people, whatever, exploring, opening my heart, reading Bernie Siegel. So yeah, he mentioned that the bad patients tend to do the best. Don't quote me on that. Don't quote me, but that was the feeling, the gist of it. And that if the medication itself is worse than the disease, then maybe it's worth reconsidering the medication. And wow, that was a relief, because here I had been taking this nonsense that was absolutely usually worse than the MS itself. And I felt really bad, and I felt like I needed to keep health insurance in order to take this medication that I hated. But in any case, so Bernie Siegel mentions, if the medication is worse than the condition itself, the side effects from the medication, then maybe it's worth reconsidering the medication. And the thing with Tysabri that I was supposed to begin, one of the side effects of Tysabri is death. I mean, it's not a common side effect, but there's a rare there's a condition that you can come down with. I can't remember the name of it. It's a brain condition that you die from. So, and that happens in I don't remember the percentage of Tysabri patients, who died. But I couldn't make sense of it. I was like, why? But yeah, I just decided that it wasn't worth the risk. And that I was just going to focus more on nutrition. So that's ultimately what I did. But I will say that after another stressful bout of life where I moved to Belgium to be with a Scottish man that I met in Mozambique on said Africa trip, eventually I moved to Belgium to essentially live with this stranger that I had a crush on, who invited me. And it was extremely stressful and traumatic, to be honest. That relationship is, goes down in the books as learning. That was for learning, as all my relationships pretty much have been. But yeah, that one is for learning. I eventually married the guy in Las Vegas by Elvis Presley. Well, that was another great thing about that relationship. That was a fun experience. But anyway, prior to the fun, or was it after? It was all around the same time, because it was really stressful and traumatic. I started to have another MS relapse, really pretty badly, and I had to go to the hospital in Brussels for steroid treatment, and it was definitely a different experience than American hospitals. More about that later. but I was scared into starting Copaxone. And so in 2010, I started on daily Copaxone after I moved back to the US from Belgium with this man, my new husband, now ex. Um, yeah, I started Copaxone, and that's another like tiny little needle, and it's for me it led to the least like sick feeling in my body. Like I didn't feel so bad like in my head, and I didn't feel that bad taking Copaxone, but it's every day, and you have to rotate injection sites. So because you get these like it's like a rash, it's like it like a bump, and it can lead to problems if you inject every too many times in the same like spot. I don't think I ever used my arms. My arms are kind of thin. Sometimes I'd use my belly, but usually it'd be like my thigh or like this part, you know. But every day you have to pick a different place, and so like any given week, you have like all these bumps, red lumps of poison proof on your body, and it feels bad. It just like just like mentally, even if the poison itself isn't necessarily affecting your thinking, whereas the interferons can absolutely interfere and make you feel really depressed. That's something else that I experienced. Talk more about that in another video. But at this point, yeah, so the Copaxone was challenging insofar as you had to pick a different body part every day. And there's just like not that many body parts if you don't have a lot of body fat. So it again, and that just it made me feel like a sick person, because like why would you stab yourself with this weird liquid every day unless there's something really wrong with me? And I didn't want to feel like there was something really wrong with me. I wanted to feel like I had some semblance of control over my disease, my life. I've tried a few of these MS meds: Avonex, Rebif, Copaxone. I opted out of Tysabri. I didn't like that one of the side effects is death. PML, that's what it is. PML, it's a brain disease. PML. It just didn't seem worth it to me. Because truth is, nobody really knows like what is going to help your body heal from MS. Like no doctor really nobody really knows if these drugs really work or what they really I mean, they do something in again, I'm no expert, I'm no medical expert, but something just seemed kind of fishy to me. And so for the past 10 years, I've been medication free, mostly symptom free. Also, mostly symptom free. I have been using CBDs. I've been using cannabis for that time period, 10 years. Maybe 13 years I've been using cannabis. I didn't start until the multiple sclerosis. I'm from Washington State, and I was so lucky to be from a place where medical marijuana was approved. 2008 was approved, so after I'd had like really negative experiences with the big pharma stuff, I just kind of thought, well, maybe I'll try cannabis. I had never tried it before, and to me, it just seemed like the lesser of the evils. And I don't know. I don't know exactly why or what. Or there's definitely evidence that CBDs are helpful for multiple sclerosis patients. There's definitely evidence. I simply don't know exactly what it was that was so helpful. But here I am. I feel really great. And I haven't had symptoms for quite a while. I feel more than feel great. Like, I don't always feel great, but my body feels strong. My body feels strong. I don't have any problems walking, biking, whatever, surfing. I have a lot of problems surfing just because I'm bad. I'm bad. But I enjoy floating. So yeah, I feel better than ever simply because I feel strong, and I feel confident that I have some semblance of control over the course of my disease. I feel like I can use nutrition, supplements, reprogramming thinking, reprogram your brain to believe that healing is possible. Did you know that in Chinese medicine, TCM, traditional Chinese medicine, there's no such thing as multiple sclerosis? It doesn't even exist. It's addressed as symptoms, a set of symptoms. Maybe, okay, optic neuritis. Okay, what are the foods and the herbs and the maybe breath practices, qigong, energy moving. I'm laughing because I don't really know exactly, but I know I practiced enough or learned enough Chinese medicine to know that there's no such thing as MS. And yeah, I did take a lot of these stinky herbs, stinky Chinese medicine herbs. You cook them up like in a cauldron. It's not that big. You just have a small pot on the stove boiling with your herbs, and it's kind of stinky. But I don't know. Like, I don't know what exactly worked the best, because there's so many things I did that I think were so helpful. And eventually I'm going to share all of it. But for now, I just wanted to talk about my experience with the big pharma MS meds, and honestly offer my compassion for anyone who's injecting themselves with these meds. I hope it's helping you. I really do. That's all I hope for, is for people to be strong and healthy in their bodies, really. So yes, if you are taking one of these medications, I really hope that it's helping you. But for me, it didn't. It only made me worse. These meds only made me worse. So thank you for listening. I hope that you'll return when I talk about all the amazing nutrition and supplements and yoga and everything else that I've been doing. So many things, so many things that I want to share, everything that I've been doing to treat the multiple sclerosis besides big. So, thank you so much for listening. I hope to see you again.